Most preppers think they have a plan. When the grid fails, they'll load the truck, grab the bug-out bag, drive to their fortress city, and wait it out. Clean, simple, completely delusional. Here's reality. You're 800 miles from Kalispell. The highways become impassable within 6 hours of any major grid failure. That's not speculation. That's every disaster pattern we have data for. Your fortress city doesn't matter if you die in a traffic jam in Nebraska surrounded by people who want what you're carrying. The vehicle is the fortress, not the destination, not the cabin, not the bunker. The vehicle. But only if nobody notices it. Only if it looks like every other Honda Accord in every Walmart parking lot from here to Montana. That's what most preppers miss. They build tactical. They should build invisible. Your car becomes your territory, your mobile platform, your survival advantage, if you know how to engineer it right. Most preppers picture themselves hiking into the wilderness with a 60-pound pack. Flannel shirt, tactical boots, rifle slung across the back. Maybe a dog named Diesel trotting alongside. They imagine filtering water from streams and hunting deer at sunrise. They picture themselves as the protagonist in some post-apocalyptic movie where grit and determination win. Romantic? Cinematic? Historically stupid. Here's the math that kills that fantasy. The average human carrying a loaded backpack can cover 15 to 20 miles per day. That's under ideal conditions. Flat terrain, good weather, no injuries, no hostile encounters. In reality, you're looking at 10 to 12 miles per day once fatigue sets in, once blisters form, once the weight starts grinding your shoulders into hamburger. Now calculate distance. You need to get 300 miles away from any major metro collapse zone to reach the kinetic buffer where refugee waves lose momentum. That's not speculation. That's the average vehicle range on a full tank, which means that's how far desperate people can reach you. 300 miles at 15 miles per day is 20 days of walking. But you won't make 15 miles per day. You'll average 10. That's 30 days. A month of exposure. Think about what happens in a month. Weather changes. Injuries compound. Your 60-pound pack contains maybe 15,000 calories if you pack efficiently. You'll burn 4,000 to 5,000 calories per day just hiking with that load. That's 3 days of food. Then what? Hunt? With what ammunition? For how long before you're competing with every other person who had the same plan? Every historical refugee movement tells the same story. Pedestrian columns don't reach destinations. They get picked off by exposure, by disease, by bandits, by exhaustion. The people who survive are the ones who had vehicles, the ones who could cover in 6 hours what takes a month on foot. The vehicle isn't optional, it's survival. A car can travel 300 miles in half a day. On foot, you're still inside the blast radius when the wave of desperate people reaches you. You're moving too slow. You're too visible. You're too vulnerable. So the vehicle is mandatory. But here's where it gets complicated. The vehicle that saves you also kills you if you build it wrong. Every tactical vehicle you see on prepper forums is a rolling target. Lifted trucks with aggressive tires, roof racks loaded with fuel cans and recovery gear, mole panels covering every surface, light bars, winches, Punisher skulls, tactical tan paint jobs. The whole aesthetic screams one message: I have supplies worth taking. In a collapse scenario, that vehicle gets you shot in the first week. Here's what most preppers don't understand about game theory. Visibility equals vulnerability. The most defended-looking vehicle doesn't deter attackers, it attracts them. Because attackers aren't stupid. They see a lifted truck with $10,000 in tactical gear and they don't think hard target. They think jackpot. Look at every disaster zone. Humanitarian convoys get hit first. Military vehicles draw fire. Aid trucks get swarmed. The pattern is universal. Marked vehicles become magnets for violence because desperation does math differently than preparedness does. When people are starving, they don't avoid the hardest target. They coordinate to take it. Because the payoff justifies the risk. 10 desperate people will attack one tactical truck if they believe it contains food and water for their families. But nobody attacks a 2015 Honda Accord. That's the invisibility principle. The best Fortress looks like nothing special. It looks like every other vehicle in every Walmart parking lot from here to Montana. It draws zero attention. It passes through checkpoints without a second glance. It survives because nobody notices it exists. This requires precision. You can't just throw gear in your car and hope for the best. You need a systematic conversion that maintains total external invisibility while building complete internal survival capacity. That means 3 layers. Layer 1. External invisibility. What attackers see from 100 yards. If they notice you, everything else is irrelevant. Layer 2. Internal survival infrastructure. The systems that keep you alive. Water, food, shelter, power, medical, everything you need to survive for 2 weeks, all hidden from external view. Layer 3. Operational security. How you behave, where you park, how you move. The protocols that keep you invisible even when you're using the vehicle. Get one layer wrong and the system fails. Build all 3 correctly, and you have a mobile survival platform that can cross 300 miles of hostile territory without anyone realizing you're anything other than another ordinary person trying to get home. Layer 1. External invisibility. How to turn a survival platform into something nobody notices. Layer 1 is about what attackers see from 100 yards away. If they notice you, if they remember your vehicle, if anything about you stands out, everything else becomes irrelevant. Invisibility isn't about hiding. It's about being so ordinary that eyes slide past you without registering. Start with vehicle selection. Midsize, sedan, or crossover. 5 to 10 years old. Common colors only. Silver, white, gray, dark blue. These are the colors that dominate every parking lot in America. You want a vehicle that exists in such high numbers that nobody can describe it specifically. The target models: 2010 to 2015 Honda Accord, 2010 to 2016 Toyota Camry, 2012 to 2017 Ford Escape, 2010 to 2015 Subaru Outback. Walk through any Walmart parking lot and count how many you see. That's your invisibility benchmark. If your vehicle type appears 10 times in a random lot, you're invisible. If it appears once, you're memorable. Now the harder discipline. External modifications you must avoid. No roof racks, no light bars, no winches, no aggressive tires, no lift kits, no window tint darker than your state's legal limit, no aftermarket bumpers, no tactical branding, no stickers of any kind, no vanity plates, nothing that distinguishes your vehicle from the factory baseline. This goes against every instinct preppers have. They want to build capability. They want the winch for recovery. They want the roof rack for extra storage. They want the aggressive tires for off-road capability. Every single one of those modifications makes you a target. Here's what you can have. Stock appearance maintained exactly. Minor wear appropriate to the vehicle's age. One small dent or scratch actually increases invisibility because it signals ordinary use, not meticulous preparedness. Current registration, standard license plates from your state, the parking lot test. Go to a Costco or a Target. Park your vehicle. Walk 50 yards away. Turn around and try to find it without looking for it specifically. If you can spot your vehicle immediately because it stands out, you fail. If you have to search for it among the identical vehicles around it, you pass. Failure cascade looks like this. Lifted truck with light bar arrives at improvised checkpoint. Guards notice it immediately. They flag it for search. They find your supplies. Best case, supplies get confiscated. Worst case, you don't leave. External invisibility keeps you unnoticed, but you still need to survive inside that invisible shell. Layer 2. Survival infrastructure. Everything in Layer 2 must be invisible from outside the vehicle. No external signatures, no visible gear, no clues that this ordinary sedan contains survival infrastructure. The constraint is absolute. Start with the survival equation. 3 days without water. 3 weeks without food. 3 hours in extreme weather. Your systems have to address these in order of urgency. Water first. 5-gallon collapsible water containers. 3 to 4 of them gives you 15 to 20 gallons. That's 15 to 20 days for one person at 1 gallon per day minimum. These containers flatten when empty and fit under seats, in the trunk, behind the back seat. Add a Life straw or Sawyer mini filter. Add water purification tablets as backup. Calculate your water supply assuming you can't resupply. 1 gallon per person per day is survival minimum, not comfort. Food. Freeze-dried meals. Mountain House, Peak Refuel, brands that pack 2,000 to 2,500 calories per day into packages that weigh ounces and last years. Store them in black duffel bags, not in obvious survival packaging. A 7 to 14-day supply is realistic. More than that, and you're sacrificing mobility for food weight. Rotation schedule matters. Eat and replace every 6 months to keep supplies fresh. Shelter. The vehicle becomes your shelter. Window covers cut from Reflectix insulation material, sized exactly to your windows, stored flat in the trunk. Deploy them only at night, only where other vehicles have covered windows. Sleeping bag rated to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Wool blanket as backup. No external tent deployment. No tarps. No signals that you're living in the vehicle. Power. Jackery or Goal. 0 portable battery station. 240 to 500 watt-hour capacity. Charged from your vehicle's alternator while driving using a 12-volt adapter. Small solar panel stored flat, deployed only in secure locations. This powers your phone, a small radio, a headlamp. Calculate your power budget. Phone uses 10 to 20 watt-hours per full charge. You need to ration. Medical. IFAAT. Individual first aid kit with trauma supplies. Tourniquets. Quick clot gauze. Pressure bandages. Fish antibiotics if you can source them legally. Amoxicillin. Doxycycline. 30-day supply of any prescription medications you need. Pain management supplies. Basic wound care. Storage discipline. Everything fits in trunk, under seats, behind seats. Total footprint invisible to someone looking through your windows. The vehicle appears ordinary because it is ordinary until you need the systems inside. You have the systems, but systems fail if you don't know how to use them without getting noticed. Layer 3. Operational security. The perfect invisible vehicle becomes a target the moment you act like you're hiding something. Humans are threat detection machines evolved over millennia. We notice patterns. We notice deviations. We notice when someone's behavior doesn't match their cover story. This is where most preppers fail. They build the perfect gray man vehicle and then park it in isolated locations. Act paranoid. Avoid eye contact, and broadcast their intentions through body language. You need behavioral protocols. Movement protocol. Drive the speed limit. Use turn signals. Maintain average following distance. Never be the fastest vehicle on the highway, and never be the slowest. Blend with traffic flow. When possible, follow a rabbit. That's another ordinary vehicle going your direction at your speed. Let them lead. If you need to make repeated trips on the same route, rotate your timing and vary minor route details. Never circle back visibly to the same location within the same day. Parking protocol. Park in legitimate spaces. Store parking lots, rest areas, truck stops. Never isolated pullouts on rural roads. Never the last spot in an empty corner. Park near other similar vehicles. Accord parks near Accords. Camry parks near Camrys. Back-in parking gives you faster exit capability, but only use it where others back in naturally. Window covers deploy only after dark, and only where other vehicles have covered windows. RVs and campers nearby make your covered windows invisible. Never park in the same spot twice within 48 hours. The 3 a.m. rule. If you're the only car in a parking lot at 3 a.m., you're visible. Move to a location with other vehicles. The safest place to sleep is a Walmart parking lot at 2 a.m. with 15 other vehicles, not the isolated forest pullout that feels safer, but makes you the only target for miles. Interaction protocol. If approached, have a mundane story ready. Traveling for work. Visiting family. Taking a break from a long drive. Never mention preparedness. Never mention survival. Never show supplies. Your story should be boring enough that people lose interest. Eye contact should be average. Too intense reads as threatening. Too avoidant reads as suspicious. Blend means average friendliness, average engagement, average everything. The prepper who parks in the woods off a dirt road with blackout curtains thinks he's hidden. He's the first one locals investigate. The prepper sleeping in a Walmart lot with 20 other travelers is invisible. 3 layers. Now let's talk about what this looks like in practice. The step-by-step conversion. Which vehicle should you actually buy? The used market between $5,000 and $15,000 is the sweet spot. Not sexy, but effective. Top tier for reliability, invisibility, and capacity. 2010 to 2015 Honda Accord. 2010 to 2016 Toyota Camry. 2012 to 2017 Ford Escape. 2010 to 2015 Subaru Outback. These vehicles dominate American roads. Highest production volume means invisible. Proven reliability means you won't get stranded. Parts availability nationwide. Fuel efficiency between 25 and 30 miles per gallon highway gives you 300 to 400 mile range on a single tank. Trunk plus interior space is sufficient for solo or 2-person survival loadout. Budget tier if you're working with $3,000 to $6,000. Go with 2005 to 2010 versions of the same models. Accept higher mileage, 150,000 to 200,000 miles, if maintenance records are clean. These vehicles are proven to run past 250,000 miles with basic care. Invisibility still holds because older Accords and Camrys are everywhere. Avoid anything European. Part scarcity kills you when you need repairs. Avoid anything rare. Stands out. Avoid anything luxury. Becomes a target. Avoid trucks unless you absolutely need cargo capacity for family size. Trucks are too visible as prepper vehicles. Every tactical prepper drives a truck. That makes trucks memorable. The catch. Don't buy the vehicle you want. Buy the vehicle nobody remembers seeing. Your ego wants the lifted 4Runner. Your survival needs the boring silver Camry that looks like 10,000 other silver Camrys. Fuel calculation baseline. 15-gallon tank at 25 miles per gallon gives you 300 to 75-mile range minimum. That's enough to escape any major metro collapse zone and reach the empty quarter. Enough to get to fortress cities if you've mapped the routes. You have the vehicle. Now the conversion timeline. How long does this actually take? How long to convert a vehicle into an invisible fortress? Depends on budget and urgency. Minimum viable build in 48 hours. Full capability in 6 months. 3 phases. Phase 1. Essential systems. 48 hours, $500 to $800. Water. 2 to 3 5-gallon collapsible containers, 1 life straw filter. Food. 7-day supply freeze-dried meals. Shelter. Window covers cut to size, 0-degree sleeping bag. Power. Small Jackery 240, or equivalent. Medical. Basic IFAC with trauma supplies. This keeps you alive for a week, gives you mobility, gets you out of the death trap when others are still planning. Phase 2. Enhanced capability. 30 days, add $800 to $1,200. Increase water to 20 gallons. Food to 14 days. Add solar panel for battery recharge. Upgrade medical to include fish antibiotics and advanced trauma supplies. Add communication if you have the skill. Ham radio or CB. This extends your survival window. Adds options when things go sideways. Phase 3. Complete system. 6 months. Add $500 to $1,000. Build redundancy. Backup water filter. Backup power bank. Backup fire starting methods. Establish rotation schedule for food and medical supplies. Practice OPSEC protocols until they're automatic. Map escape routes and drive them. Know the terrain. Know the choke points. This is the full fortress, total cost. $1,800 to $3,000 for complete invisible bug-out vehicle. Most people never reach Phase 3. Phase 1 is enough to survive what kills 90% of people. The other 10% die because they never started Phase 1. The question isn't whether you can afford this. The question is whether you can afford not to start today. The collapse won't announce itself. It'll be a cascade. By the time most people realize what's happening, the window closes. 3 phases, 3 layers, 1 choice, 3 layers, 3 phases, 1 vehicle. But a vehicle is not a survival strategy. A vehicle is a platform. You still need skills. You can have the perfect build and die in 3 days. If you can't purify water, treat a wound, or start a fire in wet conditions, the vehicle gets you 300 miles from the collapse zone. Then what? The vehicle connects to the fortress cities. Kalispell, Bismarck, the Ozarks. It doesn't replace them. It's the bridge. It's how you reach the places that have water, food, community, how you escape the blast radius while everyone else is stuck in gridlock. This conversion takes 48 hours minimum. The collapse won't give you 48 hours notice. You build this now or you don't build it. There is no during. There is no later. Action hierarchy. First, assess your current vehicle. Does it pass the invisibility test? Can you find it in a Costco parking lot without trying? If it stands out, you need to source a replacement this month. Second, begin Phase 1 conversion this week, not next month. This week. Water, food, shelter, power, medical. $500 to $800 and 48 hours. Third, map your routes to fortress cities now. Drive them. Learn the terrain. Know where the choke points are. Fourth, build skills while you build the vehicle. Water purification. Fire. First aid. These aren't optional. Most people watching this will do nothing. They'll nod. They'll close the video. They'll go back to their lives and tell themselves they'll start later. Later never comes. The people who survive are the people who position themselves before the crisis. Not during, not after. Before. 3 layers, 3 phases, 48 hours minimum, 0 excuses. Your move.